Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Cece Robinson, the author of Divided, book one in the Divided series, a young adult dystopian novel. Marcos had lived his entire life inside the 3/4 of a mile circumference of the Havana area of Queenstown. He never talked to someone from one of the 3 other areas inside his hometown. Marcos sprinted, pushing himself until the buzz from the wall separating Havana from Obsidian faded into the background. Then he pushed himself harder. Beside him, the concrete block wall, topped with barbed wire and glass, gave off a slight tingle from its sonic shield. That made him angry. So he pushed himself faster. The strings from his hoodie rebounded into his face, and Marcos ignored them. A delivery vehicle approached on the road, and Marcos edged closer to the wall to avoid the puddle from the earlier spring downpour. He lifted his hand in greeting at the friendly honk, though he couldn't see through the truck's darkly tinted windshields. One day, Marcos would know who drove which truck on which route, but not yet. He was only a driver recruit. The wall's tingle became a buzz, forcing Marcos to return to the middle of the sidewalk. He approached the gate into Obsidian and slowed to a walk. Marcos punched the air fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, jab, cross, uppercut, hook patterns, his breathing fitting into the rhythm of the punch drill. At it again, the Havana gate guard said. The man fingered his patrol-issued rifle slung across his chest. A few strands of his gray hair peeked out of the back of his cap. Every time Marcos had passed this gate today, the guy fingered his rifle. Was he on some power trip, or did he think Marcos would bust through the closed gate and into Obsidian? As if. Marcos didn't have a death wish, at least not today. Of course, senor, Marcos said. I have a big match tomorrow. The biggest of his school career, in fact. He would face his nemesis in the boxing ring and hope for a fair referee. The luck of Martin be on you, the gate guard said with his left fist clutched to his chest. His partner echoed the greeting from inside the gatehouse. Marcos sped up to a jog to clear the gate area, wondering if the guards on the other side also conversed with their citizens. Maybe they knew the Obsidian populace like the Havana patrol officers on duty tonight knew the Havana citizens. Or maybe they were stoic or suspicious of ordinary people. Some of their Havana patrol officers would fit that description for sure. Did Obsidian athletes run laps inside the wall on the other side like he did? Aside from the track around the football pitch, worn from too many feet and not enough gravel, Marcos had nowhere else to run. No place to escape foot traffic and watching eyes and giggling girls. Marcos wished their rec center had an indoor track. That would be perfect. Alone, no weather to worry about. Marcos broke into a sprint again. The cold humidity condensed on his cheeks before becoming a light drizzle. He doubted the other areas had the same administrative inattention as Havana. Potholes in the roads going unfilled for months and months. Peeling paint on nearly every house except in the estates, where Havana's power brokers and important families lived. Drafty windows in the escuela and rec center. None of these were difficult to fix, but yet, year after year, nothing changed. He had to be the only one who ever wondered what the other areas looked like, who longed to escape the confines of this prison. But he'd never find out, would he? Such thoughts were treasonous. He dropped back to a moderate jog, intent on finishing his workout before the drizzle became a downpour, and before curfew, or else he could kiss any luck of Martin in tomorrow's boxing match goodbye.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm so excited you guys are joining us today. I have an amazing author and a really exciting story that you guys don't want to miss. If you're new to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. You do not want to miss a single episode. We have new authors and new books each week. So this is super exciting. And we're going to jump right into hello, Miss Cece. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, DC?
I'm wonderful. Congratulations on the book. I am really excited. And we're going to just jump right in because I have questions. Let me just put it there.
That's
Why,
awesome.
why a dystopia? I need to know what is this story about and why? How did this come about?
So in 2012, just the setting, our nation seemed to be at kind of peace. And then we had Trayvon Martin murder. And then I had an all night dream. And I saw our nation broken by racial hatred, divided up, segregated into our different ethnic groups, and walls put up between us, impregnable walls. Growing up without having known anyone from another ethnicity. And then I met my Fab Four, Marcos, Rose, Harriet, and Jason. And each one of them longing to see a different culture, know a different culture, and longing to tear down their walls that were dividing their city and really keeping them imprisoned. When I woke up, I knew I had to tell that story. I had to tell this story not only for the characters, but also to inspire young people to think differently.
That is huge. That's one of those things that you're going, ooh, when we think dystopia, at least I do. I always think nuclear explosions, the world is falling apart,
Mhm.
racial division hits kind of home.
Mhm. It really does now, doesn't it? And it took me 10 years to even get the drafts in a place where I felt okay with. I'd written all my life composed stories, but I'd never attempted a series. And that's a big thing, as you know. And the first drafts were awful. So I had to really dig deep and learn craft and improve and find the right editor, all these challenges and obstacles in the way. But yeah, I really feel like we need this message now more than ever.
How do you tackle different racial ethnicities and where did you do your research to get them right?
That was a lot of work. That was probably 4 of the 10 years. Thankfully, I'm a pastor at a very diverse church. And so I sat down with congregants from different ethnic backgrounds and interviewed them. I asked a ton of questions. I wanted to know about family reunions and the things that they look forward to and how they grew up, growing up different skinned in our society, what they saw, what they liked, what they didn't like, hours worth of interviews. And then I read original accounts primarily from our enslaved American time, from first generation, those slaves who had escaped and written their accounts, but also from women and men who had been trafficked in our day, and then prisoners who had escaped from either North Korean prisons or the Soviet gulags. And I read their accounts to really understand what living under an oppressive regime or in captivity felt like, what it was like day in and day out. Then I developed my characters. Then I developed the world.
You mentioned something when
Mhm.
Marco's kind of setting in terms of was like, it might be only one who wonders that. I think
Yeah.
that becomes such a common theme across all of us because
Mhm.
at times we feel, am I the only one here? Am I the
Mhm.
only one suffering this?
Mhm.
How do you tackle those feelings of alone and despair?
Yeah, so at first, he's really alone in despair, and that's part of his character arc, is realizing he doesn't have to be, and opening himself up to other people. He's been wounded, he's been traumatized. His father is really awful. He's just regular evil. He's not some, like, powerful evil person. He's just regular old evil. And realizing that, okay, that happens in real life, and I want teenagers to see that they're not alone, that other people do experience things like this, and there's hope even in the midst of that. But yeah, he doesn't react real well at first. He makes some really crazy decisions. He escapes the city, which is amazing and wonderful that he realizes, like, where am I gonna go? And how am I gonna he didn't plan for this. There was just no thought. It was really impulsive. And then he gets caught by patrols and he ends up somewhere even worse, a labor camp. His progression is learning to trust people inside that labor camp and fight for freedom together.
You mentioned this is a series. What are the other books in the series? What can we expect? What journey are you taking us?
Mhm. So each book will feature one of the main characters. I have 4 main characters. Marcos is Hispanic, Rose is Asian, Harriet is African American, and then Jason is white. Each one of the books will allow that character to advance the plot. You'll see scenes from all 4 characters, though, all 4 points of view. So hopefully you'll really fall in love with them. But book 2 is Rose's story, and she's a genius, and she's in a physics program that turns out to be maybe not quite what it was advertised to be, and she gets herself in a real pickle. That one's called Caged. And then book 3 is Harriet's story, and that's called Betrayed. And we go on a little road trip to find allies. And then in the 4th story, that's Jason's story, and it is called United. And that's when the friends realize they just gotta do this together. They tackle
So
the
as
regime together.
okay, as we're going through the story, do we meet all 4 characters in each
Mhm,
book and then
mhm.
kinda go deep?
Yeah, so you do meet all 4 characters from the jump, and they each have a transformation in each book, but that main character, that's their time to shine.
So you have been working on this for a very, very long time. How did you feel?
Anxious, frustrated, worried, impatient, excited, like all the feelings wrapped into one. Like it was just this mess of feelings. Like some days I go through the span of everything. Now I just feel super excited and I can't wait to dive back into writing. Book 2 is drafted, the first draft, but as we all know, the first drafts are always awful, at least mine are. And so I need to go back and really redraft and then do a good revision on it before my editor gets it. But so I'm super excited right now. But during the process, there was a lot of other emotions going on.
Which is probably amazing because you're connecting with your readers in those emotionals, like, it's a
Mhm,
very soul perspective.
mhm.
Why did you decided to pick a dystopian setting?
I think dystopian as a genre is unique in that it allows us to take one of the things that are really bad about our current world and kind of blow it up to its logical conclusion. I took the hatred inside our hearts, racial hatred inside our hearts and prejudice. And I said, what would happen if this controlled our society? And I just made it control the society and envisioned the world like that. And it allows the reader then to see the evil in that thing. And then, okay, now what can I do to prevent this from happening?
It's a really fun way of taking it and
Mhm,
exploring it and then just making it very a topic of
mhm.
conversation. As you were interviewing your parishioners and telling them like, "Hey, I'm thinking of this book," what was their reaction?
They were like, "Yeah, we need this." And they were completely willing. I was just so blessed by everyone's willingness to sit down with me and answer the craziest questions, all on recording. They're very excited. I think in some ways, like on days when I was frustrated, they were more excited than me, and that fueled me through the tough parts. So that's good.
Book is out, you're getting to breathe a little. Are you working on something else or is this series your main focus right now?
The series is my main focus. I'm working on Cage, but I also have novellas that I'll be releasing between each of the books. And so Rose's mom, Sophie, kind of goes off script in book 1, and the reader doesn't know what's going on. She just disappears. The novella, which will be released in January, will tell what's going on with Sophie, her story, so which is exciting because she's all kinds of disruptive.
We always have those people in our lives just causing extra angst in there.
Yes, yes.
I love it. So, what books have impacted your writing career that kind
Mhm,
of got you focused on this is the genre? Because you're writing YA, that's so specific.
mhm,
Instead of you could have had the dystopia for adults. What has influenced you?
mhm. So I loved as a kid Brave New World in 1984. I was one of those really weird people in high school that loved those books. I like the storytelling in those books, and so fast forward into the 2000s and Hunger Games was released and Divergent, Marie Lou's Legend. I just dove right into all of those and loved it. I love in YA the whole coming of age where teenagers are figuring out their life and trying to see, oh, is this for me? Like, what do I do? How do I do this? And I have all these feelings and I just want to like lay on the couch and do nothing. Like all that conflict in the teenager years. I love it. I have 3 Gen Z teenagers, well, not teenagers anymore, almost 18, 19, and 22 is my favorite probably age as a parent. But I love the YA aspect, and then I also the dystopian aspect, just pairing them together is just a sweet spot for me.
You have fun, you're calling because you're giggling with it, which is always so excited that you're so captivated. So that's awesome. as you're going through this journey,
Mhm.
what was something you found out that you did not expect that you're like, "Ooh, I did not see that coming," that kinda got you by surprise?
I have blind spots.
Okay.
And biases. I was like, I've been a pastor of a multi-ethnic congregation for over 20 years, and I still, like, really messed up. And my editor caught it, and I was, like, so thankful. And then I had some sensitivity readers who were like, "Did you mean to say this?" I'm like, "Gosh, no, I didn't." And where's that coming from? So I had to do some digging, more digging, and I'm like, "More digging? Okay, more digging. We're gonna dig. Let's get the shovel out. Time to get those out of here." So yeah, that was surprising to me, but also like, okay, I'm human and it's okay. And the willingness to deal with that and confront those blind spots, I think, is what's important and not that you have them.
I am very excited the fact that you recognize them because sometimes I think we get
Mm,
so caught up in the story that we forget that this is coming from us. These
mhm,
pieces are ours, not so
mhm,
much the character. So I'm like, I
mhm,
enjoy it. Nice. So, Madame, tell us, what advice would you give an up and coming author who is trying to tackle themes as big as this one?
mhm. I'd say find a community where you can be yourself, where you can be vulnerable and you can run things by people. Find people that don't look like you, especially if they are from a different economic or educational background, because they'll see things you don't see and you won't ever recognize. And identifying that and then working through that can be painful, but at the same time, it'll make your work that much stronger. So never write alone. I think the myth of the writer in a cabin finishing the manuscript in a week is just that, it's a myth. We need to be in community, we need to be working collaboratively, and together we can make each other better.
I love that advice. You mentioned your editor. How is your
Mhm.
relationship with your editor in terms of bringing this manuscript to life?
Oh, it's been amazing. I couldn't do this without her. She pointed out my blind spots, and it was that first developmental edit feedback, 37 pages long, I thought I was gonna die. Like, literally just crawl under a table and die, but we worked on things, and I dug deep. I had smushed books 1 and 2 together trying to fit Divided into a trilogy. Mistake, because in doing that, a lot of the world building and character development went down the drain. Too much plot, and so separating them back out allowed me to bring the world building back and the character development, deepen that, and fix a lot of the things that she saw. But yeah, it was that first report was really kind of like, ugh. And then I dug deep after that. I am an Enneagram 8, which is the challenger, so I can give it to me, I'm fine. But it took me a minute on that.
Anytime we get feedbacks from editors can be very personal, even
Mhm.
if we are willing to accept it, because they're still our babies. Nobody wants to hear your baby's ugly.
Yeah, my baby was really ugly, and I needed to fix it.
Trying to get them back in line and be able to be comfortable with it shows so
Mhm.
much growth in you and the fact that you're willing to tackle it. So I love that part.
Thank you.
Now, Dystopia's coming out, book one is out. You're able to have conversations with people. What are your readers saying about the book? Tell us.
So it's advanced readers at this point, and they're saying that things like stunning. One reviewer compared it to Fahrenheit 451, and I was like, "Really? Really? Oh, okay." Engaging, plot's good, like, it's everything I've ever wanted and more, and I just am amazed and stunned.
The look on your face is so priceless. You're like, "Oh my god." So I am so happy for you. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So where can our listeners learn more about you? Where they can learn more about the book? Give us that.
Mhm. So my website, ccrobinsonauthor.com, is probably the best place to go. There you'll find links to books in all markets, including overseas, non-US markets, and as well as some of the backstory of my characters on my blog, which is always a fun thing that I do. I write their backstories. So I've shared one scene each character and lots of other goodies, including when I'm appearing different places, when things go on sale, all that.
Ooh, you also have in there when the next books are coming out.
That is coming, yes. Yeah,
Uh,
Caged will be out in fall of 2025.
so everyone can start marking your calendars and getting prepared. So I absolutely love it. So, madam, before you leave us, are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes.
Super easy. Let's do this. Coffee or tea?
Can I say yes?
Yes, you can.
Because I
Absolutely.
like both. They have their place in my life, both of them, and hot and cold. I'll do hot coffee or cold coffee, like, that's fine. Hot tea,
Oh, yeah.
cold tea. Yeah, Absolutely.
Absolutely. I
All of
love
them.
it. Pancakes or waffles?
I would say probably pancakes, as long as I could have an egg-free version. I'm allergic to egg. So,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good to know.
Mhm.
Android devices or Apple?
Apple all the way.
Okay. Early bird or night owl, madam?
Oh, I'm a morning person. Early bird for me.
Okay. So now here's a little different. If you could meet any famous person, dead or alive, who will you meet?
I think Kurt Vonnegut, I wanna understand because A Clockwork Orange was first off, the book is amazing. The movie, it's very disturbing. But reading his satirical dystopian, I wanna understand what his mind is like. Of course, I think he's passed away now, but I would love to talk to him and probably obviously, I am a believer. I would love to meet Jesus, but I do talk to him all the time anyway. But it would have been fun to walk with him in the first century.
This is really, really interesting and so
Mhm.
diverse. I love it.
Yes.
Madam, do you have any closing remarks for us?
I don't. Just go out and read Divided and leave me a review and tell me what you think.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations again. It's
Thank
been
you.
truly a pleasure to our listeners. Go ahead, check out the book, check out Cece's website, sign up for her newsletter, stay in
Mhm.
touch. You're going to enjoy it and you're going to be challenged. So that's a good thing. Madam, thank you. Thank you. We'll be
Thank
back.
you, DC.
A pleasure. We'll be back next week, everyone, for another amazing author. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Bye, everyone.